I literally just got done making another video. I'll post them different times. This is going to focus specifically on speed feed aluminum trimmer heads. Now, I may not always look at this one. I may just show this one. You know, this is the worst one. This one's much better than this one. This one is also more expensive than this one. This is right here. It says 10,000 RPM max. I don't think it would ever get extremely fast like that, but I don't really ever run something full throttle. I usually run half throttle all the time or less. If I'm running full throttle, I am not going to have this head on here. This head is really a delicacy head and isn't meant. This is really the kind of trimmer head where I'm doing like springtime mowing because it cuts lower, so I'm cutting down. Like some people I have, they'll come in for spring cleanup. Their lawn hadn't been cut 2 weeks before this. You know, it was tall because 2 weeks before the snowfall, when they had the choice of mowing their lawn and getting it cleaned up, they didn't choose that. So now they have a tall lawn that's now all dead for the winter, hasn't been trimmed. I go in there, not only am I cutting like real grass, I have to cut down that dead grass. So it needs to be cut lower than this. So I use this head. I will say the only thing about the Stenz head is, see these little nicks? Like I bought it and it has these little nicks in it. Like, are you kidding? But at the same time, I don't think that's really going to affect much. It's just going to get beat up and look like this one after, I'd say, 2 weeks of just mowing. It'll look like that, and it'll get kind of scratched like this. That's why I eventually put this guy in here, give some space, or I put it at the bottom. I think I did this, maybe. No, I don't know what I did. This one didn't even come with hardware. This Stenz even came with instructions. I mean, it looks like it was handwritten with pencil. I mean, it wasn't, but it looks like someone made it with a pencil thing. Let me just unfold it for you. I didn't need their video thingy. This is assembly instructions, T-spacer, so a small spacer, I guess you put in there. I don't have that in there currently. It's doing just fine without that, but I can certainly try to do that. This is 9.5 line. You can clearly tell it's got some gaps. This is supposed to be running 0.1. If you really want to fix that, you could put a little tape there, and it's not going to blow out of the thing. So, I'm not really worried about that. I have other 9.5s in here who are just naturally a little bit thicker because they have like edges on them. This is going to be good if I'm trimming a lot of stuff, just like why I got that little thing right there, so I can rear my harness with this guy when I'm trimming like a lot of stuff. If I'm having like a few yards in a day, maybe I have like more than 2 lined up in the day. I may just throw this one on for the speed of it. Or if I'm doing extreme trimming and the yard's overgrown, I may use this. So, let's see. Yeah. My sister came out here and just letting her go in. Don't make a fool of myself. So yeah, here's the look of this one. Alright, didn't want to look like a fool of myself, so it says right here 0.130 weed leader line anyway, so that would also help. So 0.130, I think 0.1505 would be fine too. So when I use a lot more of my trimmer line, I have a crap ton of it. Like that entire basket right there, all filled with just different kinds of trimmer lines. So, and it's all 0.80 and 0.95. So I'll see how much 9.5 I can use up. I'll probably give some of it away to my friends who do some trimming or need it for like garden tying. People do that. Or if it's a really bad roll that I just don't use anymore, I'm not gonna just hold on to it. I'm gonna chuck it. I don't buy those huge big rolls anymore until I've tried the line in a donut, because I don't go through that much line that the donuts don't last a little while for me, especially because I have a few donuts. There's some lines that are just too expensive to get the big roll, but eventually once I have tested these lines, I pretty much know which ones I like. So I'll get one in like 0.15 as like a big spool, and that way I'll run that for the aluminum head here, and for the speed feed I'll run 9.5 like usual. But yeah, this would work for like a lot of clearing, trimming like big areas, big open areas, just because it's super tall and I don't want to put like my mower through it yet because there may be garbage in it. Or if it's just a dog poop mine, sometimes I rather, if it's tall grass and it's just, ton of garbage. Sorry, I was hearing some, and it's just a ton of dog poop. I'm not gonna drive my tractor through that or even push mow through that. So it's better to just weed whack it down and then come through and see if we can pick some of it up and then mow it. So, this would actually probably be helpful in that because, even with 0.130, you may be able to get half a backyard done with this if you have really good line. But if you're trimming against something, it's going to go down pretty quick. I have used these before, and I can get through a whole yard, manicured grass. I mean, it takes a second to reload anyway, so if you reload it twice in a lawn, it doesn't really matter. But my goal is this will do the manicured stuff, because the thing is I said this in the other video, in my summer, I go on vacations, I get out of the neighborhood, I go see my grandparents, stay with them for a little bit. I go, to camps, or I may flat out just not want to go. I mean, may not feel like mowing a lawn all the time. And to help myself with that, I don't take on a ton, so I'm mowing a ton every single day because, I gotta live a little. And two, I don't want my summer to be entirely mowing, so sometimes cutting everything a little lower, since if I'm mowing it a little lower, a smaller trimmer head compared to this thick thing will trim it a little lower, and that's, one less thing, everything's down lower, so I won't have to go back as often. But in spring, obviously, you don't want to scalp it, but, it's all hovering and stuff. But manicured yards, basically, small manicured yards, I'm going to use this head, or, yards that just, I feel this could benefit it. And big, like trimming ditches, not that I do that very often, but jobs where I feel like I need to use the harness, I'm going to put this on because I don't want to reload all the time. Or going out of the neighborhood, if I have an out of the neighborhood job, this may be helpful because I don't want to have to, if I'm doing an out of the neighborhood job, I don't want to have to bring a ton of string and put little pieces in my pocket, bring a little roll just in case. Take this thing with you, you shouldn't have an issue. But they both have their benefits, that's why I picked them up. This one's going to be used this season, and this one's going to be used this season. Probably just a little bit more this one will be used than this one. But this one will be used, especially come fall time. When I still use the trimmer in the fall because you still got to sometimes grind up leaves in areas where the mower can't reach, or if they're all blown up on the fence, to get them off the fence without blowing them into the neighbor's yard and they're getting all upset. Trimming them down to finer is nice, and this will be better for that than that. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. This is going to be for a lot of my finer jobs, really nice properties we cut lower on, kind of like fine dining. Some people say that, there's McDonald's and there's fine dining. This will be like for those fine yards that are really good, and this will be for the yards that I don't cut all the time. Sometimes they're really tall, so like my dog poop yards, like I was saying, or yards where I'm doing some overgrown stuff. This will do more of the manicured. Or don't get me wrong, if it's like more than a few, if it's I'm not saying that this will only be doing things that are like tiny bit, like your normal. It may be overgrown, like if this was the ground level, like if you scalped your lawn, if it's this tall, it may still be doing it. But if it's like this tall, which I've had before, or really thick weeds, like dandelions, they break down your lawn too. So if I'm doing a ton of trimming and I feel like, I do the front yard, this is gonna be gone, and then I do the side yard and this is gonna be gone, I'm not gonna waste my time with that. I'm gonna throw this on because I'm gonna spend more time reloading this than I would in the beginning of the yard, taking a screw, loosening that up, putting this on. So really, it all depends on the property I'm doing. That's why I go and see the property when I do quotes. I don't just do them over the phone. So I know how to set up my equipment for that job to make it look good in the best of my ability. So with that, that's why I have these two heads. That's what I'm going to be using them for. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. And if I think of another video to do for some reason, I will certainly do so. Thanks for watching.